The United States has issued a declaration about its stance on the annexation, and it's not alone. Here's more.
Today, the Trump administration is releasing what we're calling the Crimea Declaration. I won't read the whole thing. I will submit it for the record. It's been publicly released as well. But one part reads as follows, quote, "The United States calls on Russia to respect the principles to which it has long claimed to adhere and to end its occupation of Crimea," end of quote. I want to assure this committee that the United States does not and will not recognize the Kremlin's purported annexation of Crimea. We stand together with allies, partners, and the international community in our commitment to Ukraine and its territorial integrity. There will be no relief of Crimea-related sanctions until Russia returns control of the Crimean Peninsula to Ukraine. This Crimea Declaration formalizes United States policy of non-recognition.
On July 25th, the United States reaffirmed its refusal to recognize the Kremlin's claims over illegally annexed Crimea. Washington's Crimea Declaration was also supported by the European Union, Germany, Lithuania, Latvia, and the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Poland has published its own declaration on the non-recognition of the annexation. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas had strong words about the position of Berlin on Crimea.
The annexation of Crimea is contrary to international law. We will again and again clearly emphasize this and will not allow it to be normalized, no matter how long it will last.
Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko welcomed the Crimea Declaration, and he is optimistic that it will produce results.
I am sure that the statement of Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will finally deprive the Kremlin of its imperial illusions. Whatever time passes, armed occupations and the illegal annexation of part of a sovereign state ends with only one thing: the liberation of the occupied territory, the restoration of the territorial integrity of the state, and the compensation for all losses caused by the aggressor.
U.S. sanctions against Russia for violating the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine have been enforced since March 2014. Restrictive measures prohibit cooperation with Russian companies on the sanctions list, export of technologies, as well as investments in the occupied Crimea and import of goods from the peninsula.
In October 1939, the borders of Latvia and Estonia were forced open. The Baltic nations were to be hosts to thousands of communist troops. In Latvia, they demanded these bases these in Estonia, and still others in Lithuania. On June 15, 1940, the town of Mazlienki was sacked. The Soviets claimed that we had attacked first. They told the world that a nation of 186 million people had to be protected from 6 million balls. On June 16th, we received an ultimatum: submit to total occupation or be attacked. This meant the end of independence. June 17th, 1940, they moved in to complete the occupation of all 3 Baltic countries. This was in direct violation of 4 treaties between Latvia and the Soviet Union. A peace treaty signed in 1920, a treaty of peace and friendship 1921, a non-aggression pact 1932, and the Mutual Assistance Pact of October 1939. This pact guaranteed no interference in Latvian civil affairs. Against this armed strength, there was no possibility of resistance. On the same day, Andrei Vyshinsky came to Riga to initiate the new order. He appointed a puppet government with August Kirchensteins as prime minister. Communists replaced every loyal Latvian in the cabinet. On June 21st, the jails were opened, supposedly for political prisoners. The men who were released were given uniforms and weapons. They became a new police force. On that day, the new government decreed a Thanksgiving demonstration, and the people were ordered into the streets to participate. Special Soviet envoy Vyshinsky reviewed the parade from the Soviet embassy. He promised that Latvian independence would be respected. These are Russians who have been sent in as civilian technicians with the troops. The banners and signs had been prepared by fifth columnists. These banners demanded that the Kirchenstein's government seek admittance into the Soviet Union. Johannes Spure, second secretary of the Communist Party, formally presented the demand to the Latvian parliament. Members of the parliament had also been appointed by Vyshinsky. There were no opposing votes. The proceedings were watched carefully by members of the NKVD. On the same day in Estonia, an identical proposal was made before a new Estonian parliament, with Soviet troops supporting the communist-appointed government. Their presence in the chamber was in direct violation of the Estonian constitution. On August 3rd, Kirchensteins left Riga with a delegation to the Supreme Soviet. As the head of the new Latvian government, he was to petition for the acceptance of Latvia as a Soviet state. He was received in Moscow with all the honors befitting his mission. Similar delegations from Estonia and Lithuania would receive the same honors. This is the inside of the Kremlin. It has been very rarely photographed. The welcome for the Latvian delegation included applause from Stalin himself. The Latvian delegation, led by Kirchensteins as prime minister, was made up of communists. They were surrendering the Latvian flag for the right to fly the hammer and sickle. The audience was made up of representatives of the other states in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Kirchensteins read his speech badly in Latvian. It had been written in Moscow, and he had not had a chance to study it. His audience did not understand it. They applauded on cue with machine-like precision when they heard the names of Soviet leaders. Other Soviet leaders besides Stalin were Khrushchev, Malenkov, and Zhdanov. On August 5th, 1940, Latvia joined the Soviet Union. Estonia was next. Joining in the applause were Molotov, Mikoyan, and Gaganovich.
И города Севастополь.